Hello everyone. This video you clicked on today is about what exactly is the soul and why we as a species are slowly losing it. Let's get started. If you ask your pastor or guru what is your soul, you will get a response that is very abstract and often ambiguous. If you look for a dictionary definition, you'll find that it is of not much help either. A concrete meaning of the soul is obfuscated on purpose. For me to give you my definition of the word, let's start with what we already know. Our knowledge. It's information which we can represent with nodes. To understand knowledge, understand relationships, know limitations, this is wisdom. They are like the edges of nodes. With knowledge and wisdom, you basically just get a computer. You have some cerebral system that is not alive. As you may guess, it is the soul that makes us who we are. What the soul is very simple. It is your set of values. It is the meaning to your life. Your values manifest as your desires, your morals, and your drives. You can think of knowledge and wisdom like a still pond. It's great and all, but there is nothing going on. When you add values to your life, it's like adding elevation to the pond. There is now a difference in the domain, a destination to flow to. There is a potential and a future. If you have values, a difference or an imbalance is created. This creates potential for flow, much like gravity or voltage when it comes to electricity. If you value art, you may become an artist. If you value people, you may want to make the world a better place. If you desire money, you will find a way to make it happen. Without a soul or values, you end up with no principles, nothing to stand for, and become like a schizoid. It's also healthier for a human to not understand what their soul is. To dissect your soul in a way is to kill it. The truth is, there's no objective reason to desire anything. It is a subjective construct, and it is vulnerable. You need mystery for life to be meaningful. If you don't like dissecting things, then this isn't the channel for you. I will be doing a lot of this if I keep making videos. The soul of a society is its culture. Art is the obvious example. How we speak as a people, how we behave, how we treat each other, our rituals and beliefs all reflect what we value. If a society does not hold anything sacred, then does it really have a culture? Western civilization is losing its soul, and so are the people living in it. Even without an explanation, people can sense it intuitively. You can most clearly see it in art. The art of pre-modernity had values. Their works were purposeful. The artists portrayed what they found meaning in, whether it be about love or the immaterial world of forms. They expressed ideas that were important. In our present day, we can understand the ideas of our ancestors just fine, but we wouldn't value these ideas like they did. In contrast, postmodern styled art has no meaning, is chaotic, and quite often formless. Unless, of course, if the meaning is to express postmodernity. Irony has become very popular nowadays, and it makes sense as it is ultimately a corrosive force. Multi-layered irony can be funny or amusing, but it has no message and says nothing. Even by being funny, it is a form of disassociation, as people today often do. If postmodern art does express desires, it's usually related to dopamine. How did we get here today? Why did we lose what our ancestors had? I will be going over some of the main factors. Mainly, it is caused by Western civilization's extreme systematic growth, as well as our civilization is just getting old in general. When a person is young, they are full of desires and are full of life. There are so many things they want to accomplish and experience. They are idealistic and believe in principles. Having higher ideals are better for the soul, but they are difficult to maintain. When you get old, you gain intellect and experience. You break down the idealistic delusions of youth. There's not much you want to do anymore, as you've seen it all. You drop your idealism as you adopt more jaded, materialistic desires. Those materialistic desires, too, will eventually run dry. Civilization ages in the same way we do, and we're experiencing aging on a macro level. If you want to stay young at heart, you need to keep that bit of mystery and nativity in your life. By capitalism, I'm referring to a society where economic growth is exponential, which applies to basically every country. Thanks to exponential growth, the rate of change in society is way too fast for us humans to keep up. We are also all atomized by capitalism, which only makes things worse. Your soul and what you value are a part of your identity. And having a coherent identity is very important for a person's mental health. For the vast majority of periods in human history, there was not much change in your life. Maybe there comes a famine or a war, but your environment stabilizes. For our ancestors, we just took on the role of our parents. If your father was a Catholic who worked as a blacksmith, that will be exactly what you are as well. Having a stable identity was a piece of cake. Under capitalism, change accelerates and identities are destabilized. Think about the jobs your parents or grandparents had. How many of those jobs are still around today? Over 90% of the world used to be in agriculture. Now it's less than 2% in the United States. We moved to manufacturing, and now most of us now work in the service sector. Even these service jobs are constantly shifting, being replaced, made obsolete. To thrive in this world, you need to keep changing, learning and adapting. Values are constantly made obsolete as well. Think about the things your ancestors believed in. How many of them will still hold true today? Our parents believed in patriarchy. This structure completely falls apart. When men had power, it was a time when there was constant war and jobs required hard labor. Nowadays we have peace and machines to do hard labor. Machines think for us too. The machine is the real man of the house now. Jobs in the service sector reward staying in school, communication, and playing office politics. These are feminine traits, and women do better than men, and women have earned their freedom. Faith doesn't hold either. It becomes harder to believe in superstition as society gets more technical and we become more educated. Believing in God will eventually be like believing in the tooth fairy, and for some it already is. Morals are another value to disintegrate. Humans used to be communal, and society rewarded conscientiousness. However, in our capitalistic society, having morals is a detriment. If you have morals and trust, you will be easily tricked and be used by other people, and you will not do well in life. If you look at statistics, narcissists and psychopaths have overrepresentation in the chief executive field. In our age, you are rewarded if you are able to loot as much as possible from the system. If the values and ways of life of the past do not hold, then why can't we make new ones? We can't make new ones because they go obsolete too quickly. What was cool a decade ago isn't cool now. Things become cringe. Things that were okay to say no longer are. You have to keep changing. Sexual and social scripts also keep changing, and we find it harder to communicate. People don't go to bars as they used to now that there is Tinder. And when young people do get together, they negotiate their roles as there is no script. There are people out there who do not adapt to change. We call them boomers. Just look at them. They're still using Facebook. We might look on them and make fun of their archaic ways, but they are spiritually healthier than the young, and they have a stronger sense of self. To have a fixed identity is to be schizo. The youth today are increasingly falling on the schizotypy spectrum, with no sense of self and direction. What is valuable today is subject to change, and it will be different tomorrow. It's all relative. To adapt to postmodernism is to be a moral relativist. In this state, nothing is really sacred, and everything becomes transactional, just like the capitalist system itself. Aside from increasing the rate of change, capitalism also atomizes us. Humans are lonelier than they have ever been. Most of what gives life meaning are the people around us, our friends, our family, our community. By destroying our bonds with humans, we're destroying our soul as well. Under normal human social arrangements, you hardly ever leave your tribe. The family was your company. Your customers and supply chain were your neighbors. Humans were tight-knit as we needed each other to survive. With the introduction of modernity, humans were pulled away from their villages. We now live alone in a small apartment in the city. We were stuck in factories with people we've never met. We had one niche in an assembly line, completely disconnected from the product and the consumers. There is no emotional connection with anything. When we move to the city, we also don't need each other anymore. In the city, we have the police for protection, grocery stores for food, Amazon for crafts, electricity, hospitals for health, internet for information. Why would we need other people? Corporations, technology, and the infrastructure can serve us much better than any neighbor could. The sexes are also being pulled apart by capitalism, and the birth rate is dropping worldwide. Men don't need women anymore because we have video games and porn. Women don't need men since they have daycare, jobs, and social media for attention. Couples don't need children as they have retirement savings. On the farm, you needed children to work the fields and take care of you when you're old. In our age, a child is a huge cost burden. Not only do we not need other people, but we're not needed either. And so, meaning is sucked out of our lives as we grow lonelier as the technology gets better at serving us. Instead of social bonds holding us together, the only thing holding us together now is the infrastructure. As you can now see, capitalism took away everything that gave our ancestors meaning in their lives. But it doesn't stop here, it gets worse. Capitalism also sells our souls for profit. Capitalism needs you to have values so it can sell things to you. It sees that you trust institutions, so it sells you useless degrees, drugs, and abusing your trust to profit. The system sees you value art, so art is now a racket to make the rich richer. Our social values are exploited to make social media companies money. Religion is not immune, neither is our sacred value for other humans. Eventually, everything humans have ever held sacred is commoditized, and culture is sold for profit. We can tell we are near the end of the line, as the biggest source of desire in the capitalist system is dopamine. Because our culture has already been tainted, we're only left with our animalistic and materialistic desires. Even this will eventually run dry until we become anhedonic and schizoid. When we reach this point, we are completely drained of our spiritual potential, our body being a soulless husk. Without values, there are no desire or drives. And without desires, there is no life. So there you have it. Over time, we are losing our soul as a species, and we are in the process of dying. What you are hearing now is not even my voice. This entire speech is AI generated. As human niches get replaced by corporations and technology, our lives become ever more meaningless. For the last man, life has no meaning. There are no principles to uphold, there is nothing to do, and nowhere to go. They are of no use to anyone. They are all alone and functionally dead.